An act of terror. Russian President Vladimir Putin blames Ukraine for a drone strike on Moscow and vows Russia will not be intimidated.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan gives his first political address since his historic re-election, lauding the results and vowing to fight for Turkey's security. As tensions continue to run high in the north of Kosovo, the EU is calling for calm and dialogue between ethnic Serbs and Albanians.
Southern EU countries call for funds to help deal with the increasing level of drought.
A terrorist act and a clear provocation. This is what Vladimir Putin called the rare drone attack that jolted Moscow early Tuesday. The strike caused some minor damage and prompted some residents to evacuate their buildings. Russia's defense ministry says it shot down 5 drones over the capital. Others jammed and veered off course. Speaking to reporters, Putin said Russia would not be terrorized.
Путь попыток запугивания России, запугивания граждан России и ударов по жилым зданиям. Это, конечно, явный признак террористической деятельности. Но, во-первых, хочу сказать, что система ПВО Москвы сработала штатно, удовлетворительно, хотя есть над чем работать, но меня даже не столько это беспокоит, сколько попытки вызвать ответную реакцию России. Видимо, на это рассчитано. Они провоцируют нас на зеркальные действия. Мы посмотрим, что с этим делать.
Some experts are now questioning the effectiveness of Russia's air defenses. It's the second reported attack on Moscow after 2 drones attempted to strike the Kremlin back at the start of May.
Yet another attack on Kyiv overnight, the third within roughly just 24 hours. On Tuesday night, Ukrainian air defenses destroyed 29 of 31 Iran-made Shahed drones launched at Kyiv by Russia. The Institute for the Study of War previously assessed that Russian forces began a new limited air campaign in recent months to degrade Ukrainian counteroffensive capabilities, but that the Russian prioritization of targeting Kyiv is likely further limiting the campaign's ability to meaningfully constrain potential Ukrainian counteroffensive actions. President Volodymyr Zelensky said on Monday the timing of Ukraine's long-anticipated counteroffensive has been set. Quote, "The decisions have been made," he said, without providing further details. After the attack on Kyiv, drones hit several buildings in Moscow, causing minor damage and no serious injuries, the mayor of the Russian capital said early on Tuesday. Moscow is located around 500 kilometers away from Ukraine's border and has only rarely been targeted by drone attacks since the start of the Russian full-scale invasion, even though such attacks have been more common elsewhere in Russia. Previously, there have been reports of drones being shot down in Kursk and Belgorod regions of Russia, which both border Ukraine. In April, a drone came down in the town of Kireevsk, about 400 kilometers from the Ukrainian border, injuring at least 3 people in an explosion after it was brought down, Russian state media said. An oil refinery at the Krasnodar region of Russia, about 200 kilometers from the Crimean border, was targeted by drones on the 4th and the 5th of May, according to Russian media reports. A suspected drone attack injured over 10 Russian soldiers at a military training ground in the Voronezh region. Now, Russia's Ministry of Defense has claimed that Ukraine is responsible for what it straight away called a terrorist attack using drones against Moscow on Tuesday morning. Ukraine has denied direct involvement with an alleged drone attack on the Russian capital.
Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan received a standing ovation at his first public event in Ankara after his historic re-election. Addressing the chambers of commerce and stock exchanges, he reviewed the achievements of his 20 years in power and reflected on his victory.
Elbette seçim sürecini tüm yönleriyle enine boyuna değerlendireceğiz. Aynı şekilde sokaklardaki o eşi benzeri görülmemiş coşkunun arkasında yatan sebepleri de çok iyi analiz edeceğiz. Gerek anlamı, gerekse sonuçları itibariyle ülke olarak bir kader seçimi yaşadığımızın farkındayız.
The political veteran also addressed the need to solve pending problems with the European Union.
Son dönemde adeta bir siyasi şantaj olarak kullanılan bu vize sorununu en kısa sürede inşallah hal yoluna koyacağız.
President Erdogan said he will maintain the fight against inflation and revealed his intention to establish a zone of security and peace around Turkey. With tensions still running high in northern Kosovo, Europe's top diplomat has called for a dialogue between Serbs and local Albanian authorities to avoid a repeat of Monday's violence. Dozens of NATO peacekeepers were injured in clashes with ethnic Serbs protesting the takeover of municipalities by Albanian mayors. Josep Borrell condemned the violence.
As the first step, I expect Kosovo authorities to suspend police operations focusing on the municipal buildings in the north of Kosovo and the violent protesters to stand down, and I will continue engaging with the two leaders. The European Union expects the parties to act responsibly and engage immediately in the EU-facilitated dialogue to find a sustainable solution to the situation in the north.
The Serbian president, Aleksandar Vučić, raised his concerns in a meeting with Western ambassadors. He has called on Pristina to remove the mayors from Serb-dominated districts as a precursor to negotiations. Monday's unrest was the worst outbreak of violence in years in the disputed region. Tentative talks are underway, but neither side seems prepared to back down over an issue that has been simmering for years.
Southern EU member states are increasingly concerned by drought in their territories. They say it's significantly impacting their agriculture sector. Some of the most affected countries are requesting the mobilization of funds from the bloc's so-called agricultural reserve, a pot of €450 million meant to support farmers in exceptional times.
En este año estamos viviendo, en el caso de España, una disminución superior al 30% desde el comienzo del año hidrológico de las precipitaciones. Eso tiene consecuencias directas, tiene consecuencias desde el punto de vista de la alimentación animal, de los pastos, tiene consecuencias también desde el punto de vista de las cosechas de invierno que no han podido completarse, tiene también consecuencias sobre las cosechas de primavera que no han podido en algún caso sembrarse y tiene también consecuencias sobre el regadío que tiene un menor rendimiento.
A report originally presented by Portugal and also on behalf of France, Italy and Spain to EU agriculture ministers paints a worrying picture for the future. At the end of April, 21.6% of the EU's territory was in a warning situation, with 3.2% in an alert situation. Portugal and Spain are paying the highest toll for the lack of rain, but Baltic and Scandinavian countries are also experiencing drier than usual soil. Between October 2022 and April 2023, Spain faced a rainfall shortage 24% below the average, while in France 26 departments out of 101 are at high risk of drought by the end of summer this year. In Portugal, the drought situation had a negative impact on agricultural activities across more than 40% of its mainland territory, as well as in Italy, where drought and flooding have damaged animal farming, vineyards, cereal crops, and fruit and vegetable production. The reduction in river flow levels is also causing salt wedge estuaries to rise from the sea in the Po Delta in northern Italy, making the waters unusable for agricultural needs.
"170 hectares of Belgium's High Fens Nature Reserve are on fire. The inferno started Monday evening and spread rapidly, fueled by strong winds. 140 firefighters are tackling the blaze and trying to contain it. Local authorities have received extra help from their German counterparts from over the border. Officials say the fire was likely a result of human activity. The fire serves as a grim reminder of the devastation caused in summer 2022. Similar outbreaks are anticipated this year.
A humanitarian vessel carrying over 600 migrants reached the southern Italian port of Bari on Tuesday. Among the migrants were 151 minors. 20 of them were under 13 years of age. 11 women were also on board. Several passengers required medical attention after the arduous journey. Some of the migrants, coming from Syria, Bangladesh, Palestine, Egypt or Pakistan, were rescued on Saturday in the Sicilian Channel after a harrowing 4-day crossing on a fishing boat. During this time, they faced dire conditions with limited food and water supplies. It took the vessel, operated by the NGO Doctors Without Borders, 3 hours to complete the rescue under the supervision of the Italian Coast Guard.
Archaeologists in Pompeii, Italy have found the remains of another 3 victims of the catastrophic eruption of Mount Vesuvius in 79 AD. The skeletons have been uncovered at the site of an ancient Roman bakery. 2 women apparently tried to hide there with their 3 to 4-year-old child.
Il ritrovamento di 3 vittime dell'eruzione ha messo insieme tutta una squadra di archeologi, antropologi, vulcanologi, sismologi, archeobotanici che lavorano insieme per cavare il massimo dei dati da questi rinvenimenti.
Recent discoveries have been made thanks to the Great Pompeii project launched in 2012. Over 100 million euros have been put into the conservation and excavation of the ancient Roman city, buried by ash and pumice from the volcanic eruption.